Ethan had not spoken a single word since his father's funeral. The silence, once a burden he had learned to live with, had now become a prison. Every corner of the mansion echoed with memories of laughter that had long faded, and every mirror reflected a boy who could not scream, even when his soul was breaking. At night, he sat by his father's study, the one room his mother couldn't bear to enter. It smelled of cedar, cologne, and something old, like time itself. Papers lay scattered across the desk, and in the center sat a half-open leather box. Ethan had noticed it before but never dared to open it. This night was different. His grief had reached the point where even fear lost its meaning. With trembling fingers, he lifted the lid. Inside was a small glass vial filled with a shimmering blue liquid, glowing faintly even in the dark. A folded note lay beneath it, written in his father's familiar handwriting. Greater than, for when silence becomes unbearable. But remember, son, every gift has its price. Ethan's eyes burned as he held the vial up to the light. What could it mean? His father was a man of science, logical, disciplined, never one for myths or miracles. And yet, something about the liquid seemed alive. For hours, he stared at it, debating. His mind said no, but his heart, aching and desperate, whispered yes. Finally, with a silent prayer to the father he loved, Ethan unsealed the vial. The scent was strange, a mix of rain and old books. He tilted his head back and let a single drop fall into each eye. At first, nothing. Just the cold sting of liquid. Then came the light. It burst behind his eyelids, golden and searing, spreading through his mind like wildfire. Ethan clutched his chest, gasping soundlessly, as images flooded in, faces, colors, voices. For the first time in his life, he heard. Not through his ears, but through something deeper, his soul. He heard the rustling of the curtains, the hum of the night, the distant heartbeat of the world. And then, a voice. Soft, gentle, familiar. Greater than, my son. Ethan froze. It was his father's voice, calm and warm, like sunlight breaking through rain. Greater than, if you are hearing me, then the time has come. This liquid, it is not science. It is faith distilled. It opens the eyes of the heart. Tears spilled from Ethan's glowing eyes. His father continued. Greater than, but remember, Ethan, to see truly, you must give truly. Every miracle demands sacrifice. The vision faded, and Ethan collapsed onto the floor, trembling. When he awoke the next morning, the world looked different. Colors shimmered brighter, the air seemed to hum with energy. And when he tried to whisper his father's name, something inside answered. A sound escaped his lips. It wasn't a word yet, but it was sound. For the first time in 17 years, Ethan's throat vibrated. He laughed, a rough, broken laugh, and the sound startled even him. He ran to his mother's room, tears still streaming. She turned, eyes wide, thinking she was dreaming. Mom, he croaked, the word barely forming, but real. Mom. She dropped everything and ran to him, holding his face in disbelief. Ethan, say it again, please, say it again. He tried. The sounds came slowly, like a river breaking through ice. Mom. They cried together, clinging to each other as years of silence melted between them. But deep inside, Ethan knew this was only the beginning. As days passed, strange things began to happen. When he spoke, really spoke, people around him felt something change. Once, while comforting a crying gardener, Ethan said softly, "It's going to be okay." The man stopped crying instantly, not because of the words, but because of the feeling that washed over him, like peace made tangible. Ethan realized that his voice now carried something else, something not entirely human. One evening, he returned to the study and found the vial empty. Yet when he held it up, faint traces of blue light still swirled at the bottom, forming the shape of an eye. He understood then, the liquid hadn't just healed him. It had chosen him. In the weeks that followed, news began to spread. A mute millionaire's son who suddenly spoke, and whose voice could calm pain, mend hearts, and even heal the sick. People came from far and wide, some out of faith, others out of desperation. Ethan didn't seek fame. He only wanted to help, to make his father proud. But the more he used this gift, the more he felt the warning echo in his mind: every miracle demands sacrifice. At first, it was exhaustion. His strength would drain after each healing. Then, the color began fading from his eyes, the bright blue turning dull gray. He didn't care. If his voice could bring light to others, he would give all he had. One day, a blind little girl was brought to him. She reached for his hand and whispered, "Can you make me see?" Ethan smiled gently, feeling the last remnants of strength within him. "I'll try," he said softly, and as he spoke, the room filled with light. When the glow faded, the girl gasped. "I can see you," she cried. Everyone cheered, but Ethan didn't move. His mother rushed forward. "Ethan, Ethan." He was smiling, peaceful, his eyes now completely colorless, like clouds after a storm. And then, faintly, a whisper filled the room. His father's voice again. Greater than, he gave his voice, to awaken others. Ethan's story spread across the world, the mute boy who spoke miracles into existence, only to fall silent again. But this time, his silence wasn't emptiness. It was eternity. Because wherever hearts were broken, people said they could still hear him. Not through sound, but through the quiet courage his story left behind.